beautiful Awakened Souls, and welcome to another episode of the Awakened Souls podcast. I am your host, Devin Brown, a Kundalini activator, spiritual guide, author, and I love being able to say that. And just a great source of entertainment for you guys. So here we are. We are through our first week in January, and I am actually coming from Paris. So when you are listening to this podcast, I am actually in Paris currently doing not only some grid work, but some energy work and some deep healing for myself, but also some other people that are here with me. And we are just collectively gathering with joy and peace and prosperity and ushering in this new year in style, I should say. So that being said, here we are. We're in the new year. Holy cow. Like going from December into January, we crossed, and I know you felt it, this very, very thick veil that ended old contracts. It ended old patterns. It ended old relationships, but suddenly it brought on a new dynamic. It brought on a new situation. It brought on a new sense of understanding and a new sense of peace in our lives. But while it was bringing those things on, it was also bringing a lot of disruption. It was bringing a lot of pattern recognition, like things that you recognized about yourself that you're not happy with. You don't want it there, but it's almost like you didn't have a choice. Like you had to face the music, face where it was, and figure out what on earth was happening and where on earth this was going. So here we are. We are into January. We are now on the downhill climb, so to speak, when it comes to ascension. And I know that sounds backwards because people think of ascension and they think of rising, and then they think of downhill and it's like a falling. But here's the thing. We have been in a uphill battle for ascension, for entering the golden age, for remembering ourselves, for falling into light, for falling into where we are. And it has been exhausting. Absolutely exhausting. But now we're here. We are here. We are into this new year. We are into this new pattern, this new space. And what does this mean? Where does this go? What does it entail? It entails a great sense of peace and tranquility. It entails a remembrance and a just beautiful recognition that we are spiritual beings here for a human experience, and we are ready to not only embrace that but to focus on that. It is a guidance. You've been guided to like maybe change your eating habits, maybe change your patterns, maybe change certain things. Like there have been so much deep inner work, shadow work, healing work that has gone into this past year, and especially going from December into January, and here we are. Now we are on a downhill sled. It's going to get easier from here. Things are just going to begin to purge out. Like relationships aren't going to have a choice. They're going to change. Like you don't have a choice but to grow. And there's going to be some growing pains. There's going to be some times and some situations where you are feeling a little bit taunt, a little bit worn out, a little bit frustrated. I know for myself, I realized I had some abandonment wounds that I truly thought I had healed, like genuinely thought I had healed. And going from December into January, it was awakened in the most subtlest of ways. And the way that I was able to approach it and to look at it was to see I had these small, subtle situations and these small, subtle things that are triggering me in my abandonment wounds. But it also shows me how much I have healed because I wasn't getting that massive overall reaction. I was able to respond. I was able to sit with myself and take accountability and take recognition that I will never abandon me. And therefore I need to show up for myself in the way that my highest self is calling me to show up, and allow everything to come into play with that. And part of that has been seeking the mental health counsel that I need. It's been seeking doctors or support that I need. It's been reaching out to friends when I need them. It's been having movement added into my routine, even more so, adding in red light therapy and changing my diet and just making sure that I am in alignment with what it is that I want to do. And one of the things that I recognize is over the past 2 years since my divorce, I have traveled so much. I actually had made it a personal mission to travel at least once every 3 months. So I've gone on about 15 trips in the past 2 years. They have been amazing. They've been life-changing, and I did a lot of grid work. Some of this was trips for Kundalini Rising and putting the programs together. Some of it was just vacation trips. Like there was a lot of different trips for different reasons and different situations. And I recognized in myself the inability to sit still, the inability to sit still for too long, because that's when I didn't feel safe. I needed to find the adventure. I needed to have the adventure. I needed to be the adventure, because if I wasn't being adventurous, then I was being stagnant. I was getting stuck, and I never wanted that. And it was kind of one of those things. It was a very healing time for me. But now going from December into January, I've reached this point where I'm not sitting here planning the next 10 trips. I'm not sitting here planning anything. When I get back from Paris, I'm going to be here for a week. When I get back, I have 2 more trips in the books for 2024. And they're actually for and with friends. Like, those are not for Kundalini Rising. But that being said, as of now, I don't have any other invitations or any other plans out there, and I'm ready to just be. I'm ready to pour into myself in a different way, pour into myself in the present, pour into myself in the moment, pour into myself into who I am, and allow myself room to grow. And for a lot of you who are listening to this podcast, you don't travel all the time. You don't run in a tangible way that you can see yourself crossing state lines, but maybe you're running in your life in other ways. Maybe you're filling your schedule so much that you are keeping yourself disassociated and in survival mode, because I can tell you I was there for years. For 34 years, I was there until I decided to wake up and break that conditioning pattern. And it's one of those situations, and it's one of those things that you can change. You can manifest change in your life. You can break those patterns and break those cycles. And I know that sometimes it's hard to recognize things that are destructive to us when it has the label of positivity, or the label of giving back, or the label of servitude, or the label of like terms that religions use, such as giving to your brethren, or putting others above yourself, or what would Jesus do, or things like this that really can be detrimental if used within the wrong way. So what I want you to do over the course of today, and maybe the next couple days, but try to get it done within the next 3 days, sit with yourself and really look at your life and look and see what it is that you are doing. Is everything on your plate productive? Is everything on your plate feeding into becoming the person you want to be in 5 years? Not the person that you can see yourself attaining based on your current circumstances, but truly the person that you want to be in the next 5 years. And if the answer is no, then how can you cut some of those things out? How can you change some of those things? How can you modify some of those things? And you guys are going to be blown away by what takes place and what transpires when you actually allow yourself to live as your highest self on a daily basis. When you actually allow yourself to live in the embodiment of who you are meant to be. Like, it is one of the most beautiful things that you can ever come across. Like, it's absolutely wonderful. That being said, what are we looking at right now? Like, we're looking for this podcast. My guides actually sat and gave me 52 weeks worth of episodes planned. So I have an episode info coming forward every single week for the next year, essentially. And I'm actually going to read a couple of those to you if I can find my paper. This is the problem with jumping in and not being exactly where I'm supposed to be right now. But some of the things that they are asking me to talk to you guys about are things that I went through already, things that I had to break conditioning. So here we are. One is about how to stop disassociating. What is healing and how does that look? The inner child, like, what is that? Like, how do we connect there? What is our complex 9D connections in the 3D. And that means our relationships in the astral that are taking place here in this 3D world. Like, how is that taking place? Like, what is happening? Like, where are things going? And then treating and acting as the embodiment of our highest self. What is forgiveness? Kundalini activation symptoms. I have my Kundalini Rising program, which specifically launches your Kundalini activation. I have my book that has been published and is out now. You can purchase it at any bookstore. It's being printed through Ingram. Barnes & Noble has it there and available. You can also get it on Amazon. The Power Within Us, A Letter to Awaken the Souls by Devin Brown. And so then we also have how we connect with ourselves and our past lives. And do we have to? How to access our spiritual gifts. What are the spiritual gifts? Manifesting money, embracing the sexy goddess. How do we let go of our habits and fear? And what if we fail? Imposter syndrome, when we're looking for drama. Embracing your unordinary is extraordinary. What does it mean to set boundaries? Why we fall and then get stuck. How do we live in flow and time to just be? Then they gave me, this one's going to be a long one, I feel like, and I might have to break it up into a couple episodes, but 9 ways to heal. And it was things like feeling, therapy, analyzing relationships, movement, dates with yourself, responsibility, etc. Like that one, my guides went into pretty deep detail about. So those are just some of the episodes that we have coming forward starting next week. We're going to be going down this list, not in order. They do have some that they want me to do first before others. So, but though that is what we have to look forward to. And if anything that I speak ever in this podcast reaches you and helps you heal, please like it, please share it, please rate it. Like, this is how I get out there. Right now, I did not gain enough podcast sponsors to not consider some of the ads that have been offered to me. Not accepting them just yet, but if you guys happen to get a couple ads here or there broken up into this podcast in the future, just know that it is because I have been approached by sponsorship. I put several hours a week into this podcast, and I do know that it is okay to have an energy exchange for that. And if that means like allowing things that I do believe in, such as certain therapies or certain advertisements for certain places that I know would be beneficial to my listeners, then I will add it, but I would prefer to have sponsors. So if you love this podcast, if you're listening to this podcast and it's something that you feel speaks deeply to you, then by all means, go ahead, head over to my Patreon site. I have my link there in the bio of this podcast. I also have where you can purchase this book in the bio, where you can join my quantum circle, all of that stuff. On any way, shape, or form that you want to connect with me, you can just follow the link tree that is there in the bio. And that being said, here we are. We are ready. We are awakened. We are ascending. And it is a beautiful thing. All of us other starseeds who have forgotten who you are, it's time to wake up, beautiful souls. And we're at a point. You don't have a choice. You are going to wake up. You're going to remember who you are, but not even just like, oh, I'm different. Oh, I'm a starseed. You're going to remember who you are. And it's time for us to live that embodiment every single day. If you have any questions, I would love to hear it. Leave a comment, shoot me a message on my Patreon site or my email. And as always, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. We will dive back in when I get back from Paris.